Welcome into the show. You're watching Golden State Warriors Today by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Appreciate all of you for being here with us. Coming up on the docket for today, we're going to examine 3 trade targets for the Warriors over the next 3 videos. Bleacher Report putting together a really interesting article. And on today's show, the trade target that we're going to hone in on is OG Anunoby. We know that the Warriors have a history with this player. It was reported earlier this offseason that they showed interest in him prior to trading Jordan Poole to the Washington Wizards for Chris Paul. And is that interest still there for Golden State as we approach the regular season? First, though, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'm going to challenge all of Dub Nation here. We're 98 people away from 60,000 subscribers right here on the channel, so make sure you hit that sub button. And if you're looking for informative, entertaining, insightful Warriors news, rumors, and analysis year-round, this is your go-to spot, and that's why you hit that subscribe button. So you talk about OG Anunoby, and this is a player that we've talked about frequently here on the show, and you know, if you're a real one and you watch the program a lot, I'm a big fan of OG Anunoby for the development that's taken place in his NBA career, how he's been able to make strides, but the player that he's turned into as well. 2017 first-round pick from Indiana, and he was really raw at the time, but the Toronto Raptors have done a great job of kind of finding these prospects and then developing them into really good players. Pascal Siakam, you look at a guy like Fred VanVleet, Chris Boucher, and the list kind of goes on. Scotty Barnes, another player who was raw at Florida State and then ended up winning Rookie of the Year. Kind of the same prototype here for OG Anunoby, 6'7", 232. So you look at the frame and you start to get very intrigued by the athlete that he is. And now he's turned into a really good all-around player on both ends of the floor. Helped the Toronto Raptors win that NBA championship back in 2019. And this past year, all defensive second team for Anunoby. Big reason for that is size, but also the effort that he puts forward on that end of the floor. Now, as I alluded to a little bit earlier, it's not the first time that an OG Anunoby trade was attempted or discussed. Remember what Tim Kawakami said about that Anunoby trade attempt back a couple of months ago? One of the Warriors' calls, he said, I'm told, was to check with Toronto about a proposal centering on Poole for 25-year-old forward OG Anunoby, but the Raptors were not interested. And I could see why Toronto wasn't interested. They're losing a high-level two-way player for a player in Jordan Poole if they were to pull off that trade, who's more of just an offensive player. In Toronto, they want well-rounded basketball players who can impact the game on both ends of the floor, and we've seen with Jordan Poole, that's just not his forte. Bleacher Report on an OG Anunoby trade saying this, and this goes back to that article that we'll kind of be unpacking over the next couple of videos this week. Anunoby might cost all of Golden State's trade chips, but his defensive dominance, spot-up shooting, and budding on-ball creation could make him worth it. Now, this is the trade idea that I came up with. And keep in mind that you have to match the salary here between Anunoby and Andrew Wiggins. That's why Wiggins is included in this deal. You think about the emotional impact of having Andrew Wiggins, who's from Canada, going to Toronto to play there. And then you also have to throw in another quality piece in Moses Moody, who I thought in that second-round series against the Los Angeles Lakers played some really good hoop. Hit some threes, created a little bit off the dribble, has a little bit of wiggle to his game, but he can also knock down the three. So for Toronto here, you get the homecoming for Andrew Wiggins, you lose a two-way player, but you get back a two-way player, but you also get back a really good young asset in Moses Moody. And for Golden State here, you get a player who is really good on both ends of the floor, replaces what you lose in Andrew Wiggins, but maybe improves you a little bit more on the offensive end of the floor. So would you make this trade? Let's hear from Dub Nation down in the comment section here. Play the role of Mike Dunleavy Jr. and be this team's general manager. Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Anunoby's last 4 years, you see how the development has taken place. He's drafted in the first round. Early in his career, he's averaging about 10.5 points per game, steal and a half per game, 50.5% from the field for a guy who played 68 games, but the minutes were down just a little bit. but you saw some of the flashes of that potential. But then, following year, ups his points per game by 6. After that, ups his points per game up to 17 points per game. And then in 2022, 2023, this past year, nearly 17 points per game, 5 rebounds, almost 2 steals, 47.5% from the floor. He's an incredible defender who I think is right on par with Andrew Wiggins on that end of the floor. Twitchy athletes who are fast. They have that lateral and vertical speed to cover a couple of different positions on the floor. And you take a gander at OG Anunoby's defensive stats last year. You didn't believe me, some of you, that he's an elite defender in this league. Well, the numbers prove otherwise. First in steals per game at that 1.9 number. First in total steals, 128. His steal percentage, 2.7. That was 4th among all players in the NBA. He also had a block percentage of 2. So he can block shots as well as play the passing lane with deflections, steals, turnovers. What does that lead to? Easy buckets on the other end, and for Golden State, sometimes that Steph Curry splash 3, which is that momentum changer throughout the course of a ball game. He is one of the best two-way players in the NBA. Andrew Wiggins has emerged as a very solid two-way player. He's not on par with OG Anunoby, in my opinion. More on this coming up here just around the bend, but first, if you want to lay some bets down for this upcoming NBA season, you want to lay some bets down for college football and the NFL. I've been acting like a degenerate the last couple of days because football is back, and I'm throwing out money like crazy, and I'm able to throw that money out like crazy and lay some wagers down thanks to our sportsbook partner, BetUS, offering a 125% deposit bonus. What that means is you put $100 into your account, you get $125 back. That's $225 to game with. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code CHAT125, 6th man of the year odds. Are you confident that Chris Paul can have a pretty solid season this year? 14-1 odds. What that means is if you put $1 down and Chris Paul wins 6th man of the year, which he's in the running to do that, you get $14 back. Good bang for your buck. I like the value there. So if you move forward with this trade for OG Anunoby, this would be the projected starting lineup for Golden State. You still have Steph Curry running the point. You have Klay Thompson as your 2. OG Anunoby as your uber-talented wing who can guard multiple positions and serve multiple roles on the offensive end of the floor. Draymond Green remains comfortable at that 4 spot just given his size. And then Kevon Looney is your 5 down in the trenches. Your bench stays intact as well outside of losing a Moses Moody. And you look at this Warriors bench asset type of pieces here. Chris Paul, Jonathan Kuminga, Gary Payton II, Dario Saric, and Trace Jackson Davis. So the Warriors, it's not like they lose a bunch. You replace Andrew Wiggins, and I think you upgrade there. You do lose Moses Moody, which is a little bit of a loss in a player that I really like, right? But I think you're getting the best player back in this deal. So, of course, if this trade were to ever happen, you know we're going to cover it right here on Warriors Today. Approaching 60,000 subscribers. The growth of this channel has been absolutely insane, where we've built this channel up to the point where it's one of the most watched and go-to Warriors channels right here on YouTube. Let's round out the show with this. Do it right now. Let us know in the comments section and drop us a name. Name a player that you think the Warriors should trade for. And keep an eye out for future videos coming up this week of some more trade candidates. It might be the slowest part of the NBA calendar, but it's not slow for us at Chat Sports and on Golden State Warriors Today. Thanks for watching. Support the show by hitting that thumbs up icon, liking the video, and subscribing. And we'll catch you next time here on the show.